So the Raiders have gotten an update on the Jayden Daniels situation. Can the Raiders trade up? Can the Raiders select their franchise quarterback in the 2024 NFL draft? Well, the Commanders have sent a message recently, and apparently there have been some reports as to what the Raiders have been trying to do over the past few days. So we had Ocho Cinco talking to Jayden Daniels. He was saying previously he thinks that Jayden Daniels is destined to join the Raiders. He hyped a lot of us up, made us all think, oh shit, is this on the table? Is this still a possibility?
I have an epiphany that for some reason you will end up with AP at the Raiders. Now, I don't know how they're going to jump all the way up to number 2. I'm not sure. I just think that's what's going to happen.
So he's just so hyped. He's just saying he hopes it's going to happen. He believes it will happen. And this got a lot of people excited. Not only because of that, but you had so many NFL insiders talking about the fact that Jayden Daniels doesn't want to go to the Commanders, has pretty much been clear that he wants to join the Raiders, and it seemed like a trade was on the table, and it was quite possible. But we've heard some new reports that do completely change everything, and it kind of is soul crushing, to be completely honest. There is some optimism though. Mike Garofalo of the NFL Network, NFL Insider, was reporting on the fact that the Commanders and Patriots receive calls from teams trying to move up and grab a quarterback, but Washington, the Commanders, the team that's projected to select Jayden Daniels, has no indication that it would move. According to Ian Rappaport, New England would move for the right offer, but the Patriots haven't gotten the right offer yet. And then you had this, Mike Garofalo saying the Raiders are among the teams who tested the Commanders on moving out of 2, even after the Commanders GM, Adam Peters, told the media that the team planned to stay and pick. This is really huge, and I'm going to give you reasons as to why this should make you optimistic as a Raiders fan who wants to see the Raiders trade up, and also make you pessimistic if that's what you want to see. So, optimism. The Raiders are trying to trade up. We have been wondering, hey, is it just smoke that they're trying to trade up? Are they content with staying at pick 13? A lot of people have been saying all this trade up stuff is smoke. They're going to stay at pick 13 no matter what. But now we have it confirmed here from Mike Garofalo. They're trying to trade up. So that gives you optimism. The GM and the head coach and the owner of the Raiders are clearly trying to trade up and obviously select Jayden Daniels. Who else would you be trading up for? Especially if you're trying to trade up with the Washington Commanders, who are selecting at pick 2 and projected to select Jayden Daniels. That shows me Raiders are actively trying to trade up. They're working the phones to trade up. They are trying to grab Jayden Daniels. The effort is there and they want to make it happen. The question is, will the effort go unnoticed because the Commanders seem like they're refusing to move? And that's the pessimism here. The Commanders seem like they're not going to move. There's no indication they're going to move, and they are content with staying and picking at pick 2. Are they going to stay and pick Jayden Daniels at pick 2? That's what a lot of people believe. Now, hey, there could be a situation, and we've seen the betting odds move up and down. Maybe the Commanders are staying at pick 2 to take Drake May, to take perhaps JJ McCarthy. That's a possibility if they want to stay at pick 2, and that's why they don't want to move out. Obviously, if they want to pick Drake May, they wouldn't go ahead and move back with the Raiders all the way to pick 13. That would make it impossible for them to pick Drake May, even if the Raiders selected Jayden Daniels. So even though they look like they're going to take Jayden Daniels at pick 2, still a sliver of possibility, and the Patriots would then be receiving an insane amount of trade offers. If Jayden Daniels does not get selected by the Washington Commanders and falls to pick 3, that pick by the Patriots at pick 3 becomes incredibly valuable. Apparently, the Patriots have not received a serious offer. That tells me they are waiting for the haul, and that tells me we're headed towards a draft day trade. If the Commanders do not select Jayden Daniels with pick 2, I guarantee the Raiders are going to pick up the phone and make a trade with the Patriots at pick 3. At least try. They've already been trying to do it at pick 2 for Jayden Daniels, clearly. Boom, they're going to probably try to do it at pick 3 if Jayden Daniels falls. And you have Diana Rossini saying, and this is where it's pretty much thrown a wet blanket on all of the fire. It's pretty much all going downhill. The dream is ending in a lot of ways. I'm not as optimistic. I'm still holding out hope, but I am not as optimistic of the Raiders trading up after hearing this. Teams trying to move up for the quarterback and calling Washington are being told they're not moving. Washington GM's Adam Peters has stated publicly the Commanders feel great at staying at pick 2 and picking their QB. Because here's my thing. If the Patriots are content with trading back, and if the Commanders don't want Jayden Daniels, what I would do if I was the Commanders is I would swap with the Patriots and then have the Patriots trade back with the Raiders. That's what I would do if I was them. Now, I don't think that's happening. Obviously, it's not heading that direction, but this tweet for most people tells them that the Commanders are selecting Jayden Daniels. And that's what kind of sucks here. That's what kind of throws a wet blanket on all of it. And now we're hearing Commanders are staying put.
We know that many are expecting that Jayden Daniels will be the pick at number 2, which is why they targeted that spot to be able to get up. Now, they felt like maybe potentially if he got to number 3, they could make a deal with New England, who does seem, you're right, a little bit more willing to get out of number 3, but it would have to be the right offer.
Basically about the Raiders, man. They've been picking number 2 because they expect Jayden Daniels to be there at pick 2 and be taken by somebody, and mainly the Commanders. So the fact that the Raiders have been pushing for pick 2 tells me they think the Commanders maybe want the guy.
Ian, with regard to the Raiders and number 2, we know the history between Antonio Pierce and Jayden Daniels.
The Raiders know the Commanders want him. The Commanders aren't biting, and we thought that Jayden Daniels could scare the Commanders from picking him by saying, hey, I don't want to play for you, and I'm going to send all these signals that I don't want to play for you. We thought that was possible. Now it looks like the Commanders are saying, you know what? Even though you don't like us, even though it doesn't look like you want to play for us, I'm sorry, bro. You're playing for us. The Commanders are taking that gamble, and it's a smart gamble because at the end of the day, Jayden Daniels wants to have a good career. It's not like he's not going to try if he gets selected by the Commanders. So good gamble by them, man. This came out by Jonathan Jones, one of my favorite CBS reporters, talking about the Raiders and Jayden Daniels and this botched trade. Despite the weirdness of last week, remember the weirdness is when they had a top 30 visit with all the QBs at once, kind of really pissed off Jayden Daniels' agent when he was thrown into the crowd of the other QBs, wasn't given the respect by the owner to have a private meeting. But they still believe the Commanders will take Jayden Daniels at number 2 overall. He's a match for Cliff Kingsbury, who likes to have a mobile quarterback, that air raid style offense. And we know Antonio Pierce has that connection with Jayden Daniels from Arizona State. But here's where Jonathan Jones lays the realness. There's no transfer portal in college. The Rabbit has the gun in the NFL, and Jayden Daniels is going to have to play where he gets drafted, man. You don't get to choose where you want to go. It's doubtful the Raiders could convince the Commanders to trade the pick, and sources find it hard to believe the Raiders would deal up for 13 for any quarterback. Now, that is the big news on top of this. If it's not Jayden Daniels, the Raiders aren't trading up. That's what we're discovering now. Commanders don't look like they want to move. Probably going to take Jayden Daniels. And if it's not Jayden Daniels, the Raiders aren't trading up. They only want to trade up for one guy, and that is Jayden Daniels. They compare it to the Titans wanting to trade up last year, but the Texans snagged CJ Stroud. So expect the Raiders to not trade up. If the Commanders go ahead and take Jayden Daniels with pick 2, seems like all these signs are pointing to the Raiders staying at pick 13 and grabbing the best player available, whether that be a corner in Terrion Arnold, maybe an offensive lineman, a tackle would be good, or Michael Penix Jr. or Bo Nix. If the Raiders think they're worthy of a first round pick, it looks like that's the direction they're going to have to go in based on the fact that Commanders aren't going to move. And it's been obvious they're obviously not going to trade up to select JJ McCarthy. I mean, that's never been on the table or something that we're seriously considering here. So it's almost like it's over, man. I mean, I kind of feel sad. I'm just praying for a miracle at this point that maybe the Commanders take Drake May or somebody else instead of Jayden Daniels. But I'm sounding delusional at this point. And look, dude, the media world hyped it up. It's not like we pulled this out of our ass. Schefter was talking about it. Mike Florio was talking about it. Chris Sims, Rappaport, all the biggest NFL insiders were talking about Jayden Daniels going to the Raiders. I mean, he was on Nightcap. It seemed big, but now it looks like it's not going down and we're going to have to kiss it goodbye. And that's fine. That's fine. We can move on. We could still have some hope. So the Raiders, with this new update that Jayden Daniels looks off the table, seems like they're content to pick at pick 13, not going to trade up. Looks like they will be here. Question is Denver no longer interested in a quarterback since they're now on the MILF Hunter train with Mr. Zach Wilson? They traded for Zach Wilson for a swap of a 6th and a 7th round pick just yesterday. Maybe that leaves you out of the first round pick conversation. It could. If you want to give that guy reps, what's the point in trading for the guy unless you're going to give him reps, Zach Wilson? So I think it could be possible that they're out of the quarterback conversation. And then that opens up the question, do the Raiders select a quarterback at pick 13? You're not going to trade up. Looks like it's going to go Caleb Williams, Jayden Daniels, maybe a trade back with the Vikings. The Vikings grab either Drake May or JJ McCarthy. I'm going to guess and say JJ McCarthy for the Vikings. Then boom, Arizona takes a receiver. Chargers takes a receiver or O-lineman. Giants maybe takes Drake May to sit 1 year behind Daniel Jones ones. I think that's where we're heading. And then you got the Titans taking an O lineman, Atlanta probably picking somebody on defense or offensive line, Chicago getting a wide receiver, the Jets getting a tight end, Brock Bowers. That's what everybody thinks is going to happen. And obviously you got the Patriots here, probably taking a playmaker on offense or the defensive side of the ball. Then Denver, who knows what they do? Probably a defensive player to beef up all those pass rushers they lost over the years. Then that leaves Bo Nix and Michael Penix Jr. there for the Raiders at pick 13, in my opinion. That's my quick mock draft based on all the reports that I've read. That's how I think if the Raiders aren't able to trade up, that's how I think it's going to shake out. And it looks like it's pretty much dead is what the NFL is trying to tell us with the whole Raiders trading up thing. So Michael Penix Jr., this is where I'm scared. This is where I start to go, okay, maybe the Raiders go for Bo Nix. Bo Nix is mobile. He doesn't have the long bomb like Michael Penix Jr., but he has no injury issues like Michael Penix Jr., and the dude's mobile. He's a true dual threat who could run the rock like anybody. He's not Jayden Daniels fast, but I think he's Caleb Williams fast. Bo Nix, I really do. I watched him a lot in Oregon because I'm in the Pac Northwest right now, so I got to see all his games locally. And I got to see a lot of Michael Penix Jr. too, not gonna lie. I just feel like I'm just more into mobile QBs, to be completely honest. Like, if you're gonna get a pocket passer, to me, you might as well get a veteran who has a lot of knowledge of different systems, can make tons of checks and adjustments. I'm just more that route if I'm gonna grab a pocket passer. And I'm not the GM. That's just more how I think makes sense when you're looking at NFL teams. I think it makes more sense to get a veteran if you're gonna go for a pocket passer. But if you want a rookie quarterback, I think it makes more sense to get somebody mobile and somebody who doesn't have injury issues. And I'm sorry, Michael Penix Jr., the fact that he's doing all this, he wrote a letter to all of the GMs in the NFL. He wrote a letter, and this is an anonymous GM talking about Michael Penix Jr. He can already do all the pocket stuff. Just wish he had more juice. Calls him the third best quarterback in the draft. I don't think so, man. I think there's too many red flags, and this is the latest red flag. I can always smell desperation, and you can always tell how somebody feels when they have to make a bold move. And Michael Penix Jr. just made a bold move. He wrote a powerful letter to all of the NFL teams. And to me, it's like, you're only going to write this letter to NFL teams when you feel like you have to. Bo Nix is not writing a letter. Jayden Daniels is not writing a letter. Drake May and JJ McCarthy are not writing a letter to other NFL teams. You have Michael Penix Jr. here saying, truth is, I'd be worried if I had never been injured. We don't all come back the same. I know the storms I'm prepared to weather. For most people, that'd be the end of their story. But there's more to my story, and I own every page of it. So I have no problem taking all the MRIs and x-rays you ask of me. Truth is, it's an EKG that will tell you everything you need to know about me. Okay, I like that. I mean, I like the little letter. I like the little poetry there and the metaphor. The EKG is going to tell you what you need to know about me. You know, his heart. I like that. I like that he's trying to pump himself up, but I feel like Michael Penix Jr. is only saying this because he knows that teams are not high on him. So he knows teams are concerned about the injury issues. That's why the very first sentence is about him being injured, because he knows that teams are saying, look, bro, like, you got a stud arm. You could throw it hella deep. You're one of the best pocket passers in the draft, but you got two torn ACLs. You got a shoulder injury that happened. You got all this BS, and I'm just a little worried about taking you, buddy. That's how these GMs are looking at the guy. And so I feel like that's why he's coming out here and saying all this. Maybe this means you could take him in the second round. So I am able to tell that he's saying this because his draft stock is falling, and perhaps that's what he's trying to do. Raise his draft stock. If the Raiders could grab this guy in the second round, that's a steal. They know how the rest of the NFL is judging this guy. I feel like, hey, go for it if he's in the second round. I don't think anybody's taking this guy in the first round. Based on this letter, you're having to hype yourself up to these other GMs. It's not looking good. It's not looking good, to say the least.